The quality of your life is determined, fundamentally, by the quality of your decisions.
It's a huge idea.
It is, but instead of feeling intimidating, we should see it as an immense opportunity. Because if that's true,
Yeah.
then every single mistake we've ever made is just, it's raw material.
A nugget of data, yeah. Just
Well-
waiting to be refined into a life-guiding principle.
Exactly.
And that's the perfect lens for this deep dive. Our sources center on building what they call a fabulous life, which, it requires disciplined financial management, but that's there to support these really profound cognitive shifts.
So what's our mission today?
Our mission is to unpack this whole transformation, how you reconfigure your thinking, navigate the stages of financial health, which are unavoidable, and then implement this unique strategy called the all-time Money Quotient portfolio.
I love that the journey starts not with a spreadsheet, but with a universal truth, which is terrible things happen. To everyone, challenges are inevitable. But the sources emphasize that these challenges can either ruin you or profoundly improve you. It all depends on how you handle them.
Right. And the key, they argue, is embracing reality. You have to be willing to look at the situation, no matter how painful, and just reflect. Reflect deeply until you find the best path forward.
And that reflection is what changes your mindset. It gets you out of that emotional fog.
It does. And this is where the idea of principles becomes so essential. We often treat huge life events, a recession, a pandemic, even just having your first kid, like these unique one-off crises.
Right, like it's the first time it's ever happened to anyone.
But effective thinking requires recognizing patterns. Think of a biologist. They don't treat every single zebra as a new mystery.
No, they apply the principles of what makes a zebra a zebra.
Exactly, they see the pattern. When you develop principles, you stop treating events as one-offs and you realize they are just. They're repetitions of long-term cycles that happen in pretty much the same way over and over again.
There's a great anecdote in the sources that illustrates this perfectly. It's about a father named Tom and his daughter Emily.
Ah, yes. She was caught shoplifting a lipstick.
Right, and Tom has to go pick her up from the police station. Their relationship is already strained, so Emily is just...
Yeah.
She's bracing for the lecture. The same old predictable response.
The standard one-off mistake reaction.
But Tom decides to break the cycle. He gets in the car, and instead of lecturing, he shares his own story. He tells her about a time he stole a boomerang when he was a kid.
And by admitting his own mistake, showing that vulnerability, he completely changed the dynamic.
It went from a parent-child confrontation to a shared human failing. They both admitted they messed up. And that opened a real line of communication where learning could actually happen.
That's the essence of it right there. Reorganizing your cognition. You choose a principled connection over an emotional confrontation.
Okay, so that foundational work is critical. But we can't really reorganize our minds if we can't see what's blocking us in the first place.
Exactly. And our sources point to two major obstacles that prevent us from making objective decisions.
Let's unpack those. The first one is the self-barrier. It sounds like the brain's built-in defense attorney.
That is a perfect way to put it. This part of the brain, it actively prevents you from objectively acknowledging your own weaknesses.
Why?
Because doing so feels like an attack on who you are. So we react to objective, helpful feedback as if it's a personal assault.
And that just shuts down learning and guarantees bad decisions.
It does. And the second barrier is simpler. It's just a human limitation, the blind spot barrier. The fact that no one person can see the complete picture of reality.
Because we all have a different range of understanding.
Precisely. Like a singer who can only hit certain notes or an eye that only sees certain colors. Your brain is wired for a certain kind of perception. Some people see the big picture, others are masters of detail. You literally cannot appreciate the reality that falls outside your range.
So if we want to move from seeing the world in black and white to seeing it in, full color, we have to embrace humility. We have to seek out insightful people who are wired differently.
Which is a principle in itself. And that brings us to the difference between principles and values. Values are what you consider important. They're about who you ultimately want to be.
And principles. They're the compass. They're the smart, tested ways of handling recurring events that connect your values to your actual actions.
Exactly. So once we have this framework set, what's the prize? What's the goal?
The sources are really clear on this. It's not just about money. The ultimate goal is acquiring time.
The one valuable resource you can never, ever get back.
Right. True wealth gives you freedom. It's the ability to make life decisions without that crushing weight of financial stress.
You're shifting from being a slave to debt and consumption to being the master of your own resources.
Okay, so if time and freedom are the real goals, then we need a new way to create the wealth to buy that freedom. The sources argue that the old way of thinking, money equals salary from a job, it just can't get you there.
It's structurally incapable of generating real wealth, yeah. The truth is actually kind of paradoxical.
Which is?
Stop chasing money, start chasing problems.
So wait, how does that shift the equation?
It's a fascinating link between perceived value and wealth creation. If you want a lot of money, you have to look for the biggest problems people have, the ones they'd pay anything to solve.
And then you figure out a scalable solution.
Exactly. If your solution solves a billion-dollar problem, think a massive logistics bottleneck or a global communication issue, then your solution is inherently worth billions.
And you said the magic word there. Scalable. You could be the best yoga teacher in the world charging $100 an hour.
But you're always limited by time. You can only work so many hours in a day. There's no scale.
But if you create an online yoga course, you do the work once.
And that course can sell 24/7 all over the world, whether you're working or not. Scaling your solution is the only way to escape the linear trap of time for money.
This idea of exponential growth,
Yeah.
it isn't just for business, right? It's the engine for personal growth, too, through the compounding effect.
It applies everywhere. Money, skills, health, relationships. And it's so powerful, but it feels agonizingly slow at the beginning.
There's a really powerful comparison in the source materials to show this. Imagine a 3-year job contract, and you have 2 options.
Okay.
Option A starts at, let's just say, $10 a week. But you get a 10% raise every single day, compounded.
And option B?
Option B is a flat $1,250 a week, about $5,000 a month, stable.
In the first few weeks, option A looks like a terrible, terrible decision. You're making pennies.
Right. Well, your friend with option B is living comfortably. But that daily compounding, it starts to get explosive.
So what are the numbers after 3 years?
After 156 weeks, the total earned from the stable option B is only $195,000.
Okay, not bad.
Option A, the one with that tiny 10% daily improvement, it explodes to over $315 million.
$315 million.
That's the power of consistency. That's the 10,000-hour rule for mastery. It's just 5 years of dedicated daily compounding, that 1% daily improvement.
So once we get that mindset and we understand the equation for wealth, we move into the actual, the financial life cycle. And the sources use Maslow's hierarchy of needs to frame this.
And the insight there is crucial. When people use credit cards or high-interest loans to fulfill their basic needs like security or safety, they aren't actually solving the problem.
No, they're just delaying it and adding interest. They get stuck focusing on these low-level needs, but they're being driven by the reactive stress of paying back debt.
It's a recipe for being trapped in the rat race.
It is. So to build a sustainable life, we need to map out the 4 Money Quotient, or MQ, stages. Stage 1 is achieving positive personal cash flow.
Simple terms. You make more than you spend. Your income is greater than your consumption.
Ideally with a savings surplus of, say, 30 to 70%.
Then comes stage 2, committing liabilities. This is where you buy the house, the car.
And the key here is avoiding the rat race by following some really strict guidelines. Always remember that your debt is the lender's asset.
What are those guidelines?
Your car loan should cost less than your total annual income, and your house loan should be less than 5 times your total annual income.
Wow. Those are remarkably strict.
Yeah.
But they ensure you can maintain that 30% surplus.
Which you need for stage 3, achieving a positive liquid net worth.
And this is a point that trips a lot of people up. It's not just net worth, it's liquid net worth. Your liquid assets, things you can easily turn into cash, have to be greater than all your liabilities.
We really need to pause on the why of liquidity.
Let's use that medical crisis example from the sources. Say you need $30,000, like right now for an emergency.
Okay.
What's more useful? 30 grand in a savings account, or a car with a book value of 30 grand.
The cash, obviously. You know what it's worth and you can get it immediately. The car is an illiquid asset. It might take weeks to sell, and in a fire sale, you might only get $20,000 for it.
So true peace of mind comes from liquid net worth.
And that leads to the final stage, which is pre-retirement or retirement. This is where your long-term passive income finally replaces your active income. That's the ultimate freedom.
But before anyone even thinks about stage 3, there's a critical step. Wealth protection.
Absolutely. Your wealth can be wiped out, not just by bad decisions, but by illness, death, legal issues. Insurance is assurance. It's an irreplaceable tool for protection.
What are the concrete recommendations for coverage?
The guidelines are precise. You need enough insurance to replace your income for a minimum of 36 months if you get a major illness.
3 years of salary. That gives you time to recover without financial ruin.
Exactly. And you need a comprehensive medical plan. We're talking a minimum of $1 million in annual coverage, renewable to age 99, and it must factor in medical inflation. If you miss that step, all the work you did is at risk.
Okay, that solidifies the foundation. So now let's get to the allocation system for managing that hard-earned liquid net worth, the all-time Money Quotient portfolio, or SKFH.
I love this framework. It's basically about giving every single dollar a very specific job description.
And it's based on a metaphor, right? 4 ships sailing on the same sea.
Right. When the tide rises, all 4 ships rise together. The whole portfolio is divided between 2 main goals: security for your needs and freedom for your wants.
Let's start with the 2 ships for security. First is S for saving at 30%.
This is your lowest risk capital. It's for short and long-term living expenses, emergencies, and the fundamental value you need to manage this ship is discipline.
Got it. The second security ship is K for keeping at 20%.
Also low risk. This is for fixed assets, long-term succession, basically a roof over your head. And the fundamental value here is culture. In many cultures, owning a home is a huge priority for stability and dignity.
So that's the 50% foundation, saving and keeping. That ensures your basic needs are met no matter what.
Exactly. Now for the 2 ships dedicated to freedom. The third ship is F for farming at 20%. Manageable risk.
And what's the job of the farming money?
It has a few jobs. It's midterm capital for things like education, medical needs, but most importantly, it is reinvestment capital. It has to be ready when opportunities pop up. So the fundamental value here is patience.
That immediately makes me think of that story about Rick Guerin, Warren Buffett's contemporary.
The perfect illustration. Guerin was just as smart as Buffett, but he was in a hurry.
He used too much leverage, right? Margin loans.
He did. And when the market crashed in the 70s, he was forced to sell his stock at a huge loss to meet the margin calls. And who do you think he sold it to?
Buffett.
Buffett. Impatience destroys capital. Farming requires patience, so when the market offers a massive discount, you have the cash ready to go.
Okay, and finally, the highest risk ship is H for hunting at 30%. This is for wants: upscale lifestyle, business investments, stock bets.
This is your high-risk, high-reward ship. And the fundamental value here is skill, which you only get through experience and, frankly, learning from mistakes. You don't allocate 30% here until you've mastered the discipline and patience for the other ships.
What brings this whole portfolio together is a risk management rule they call the half-cup rule. This seems like a game changer.
It simplifies risk brilliantly. When you're using your farming or hunting money, you should only ever invest a half cup of water.
Meaning an amount that, if you lost all of it, it wouldn't affect your family's basic lifestyle or your security ships at all.
Correct. And then there's a crucial second step.
Which is?
If you're successful, say you get 100% return, you immediately withdraw your original capital. You take your initial half cup off the table.
And you leave the profit, the pure earnings, to keep growing.
So now you're playing purely with house money. If the market crashes later, your original capital is safe and ready to be invested again. It gives you continuous opportunities without exposing your core wealth.
So let's bring this all the way back. We started with the idea that the quality of your decisions determines the quality of your life. We've built this path from principles to a 4-ship portfolio, all leading to one place.
It was never really about the money itself.
No, it was always about buying back your time.
That fabulous life, that pre-retirement. It's about having the freedom to decide how you spend your time. It's about your SKFH strategy, generating enough passive income to replace your active income, so you never worry about basic living expenses again.
This whole deep dive feels like a pathway to break away from what psychologists call learned helplessness.
That's a powerful analogy the sources use. A baby elephant is tied with a small rope. It learns it can't break free.
And when it grows into a massive adult, it remains conditioned by that memory of past failure. It still believes that tiny rope can hold it, so it never even tries to break away.
That internal rope, that limiting belief from a past failure, that's the primary obstacle. You have the power right now to control how you think and act, regardless of what that rope felt like when you were younger. The principles we've discussed, they're the tools to break that constraint.
So we'll leave you with this final thought, building on everything we've unpacked today. If you now have the clarity, the principles, and the financial strategy to achieve freedom, what is the rope, that past failure or limiting belief that you are currently holding on to, simply because you failed at it once before? It might be time to test that rope.